Hola, amigos, and welcome to the last show on Televida. We've got a great show for you tonight. We have B. Rich, one of the original, what I call OGs of stand-up comedy in Kansas City. We worked together way back in the 90s. We even did BET Comedy View together out in Hollywood a long time ago. He's finally here. He's one of my favorite comedians in Kansas City. Our guest today on the last show is B. Rich. Like him too? Check this out.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm mad I got to stand in front of the podium like I'm important. I'd rather just move. You got a cordless mic over there? I'd rather move because y'all got the French fry lights on. That's much better. I can move. I'm going to run from the lights. I'm just going to keep moving. I got on this suit and y'all should have worn my convocation short set. This is ridiculous. Goodness.
Thank you for being on the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a minute.
It has.
It's been a minute. When did we get started? When did you get started in stand-up comedy in Kansas City?
That was 94.
94 at Stanford and Sons.
Actually, here's the funny part. No, definitely not. I had to progress to Stanford and Sons. When I first started, it was a Def Comedy Jam was the big thing then, and they had a open call like a tryout.
So
audition.
basically, you did a Def Comedy Jam audition before you did stand-up at Stanford and Sons.
Absolutely.
Wow. I did not know that.
And it was my very first time ever taking the stage. I think I might have been on stage maybe 40 seconds. And the Boo Birds came out. I was supposed to be comic number 13. I ended up being comic like number 41.
Oh my God.
They started 2 hours late. People have been drinking. I believe the club was Epicurean that we were
The
at.
app on 75th and Truce.
75th and Truce. And funny thing though, it broke me for about 10 minutes. I went down and sat down, but somebody came and stood beside me and they were like, don't hold your head down. They didn't even hear you. They have no idea what you were going to do. So then every Tuesday and Thursday they had open mics at Tiger's Den and at Blues Alley on 39th and Jackson.
I did not know this. I just thought you showed up at Stanford and Sons.
Rough crowds.
No wonder you were so good when you showed up.
But that's why Stanford.
You've been baptized by
fire.
By fire.
Exactly.
Literally.
Exactly. So 39th and Jackson, you tell the wrong joke, they're going to the trunk. So I'm like,
There's no Sandman at 39th and Jackson dancing you off the stage.
And, shout out to Blues Alley. I appreciate the experience, but it did mold me to the ability to be able to go back and forth with the crowd. I was always ready for that.
So by the time you showed up at Stanford and Sons when I met you, you already had time.
I had been practicing for probably some months, maybe. Just months, like three months. I probably went and did these other places 6, 7 times, but the timing started to come. I started to watch the other comics that were already performing here. They were kind of gimmicky. Wanting to come out.
Anybody we know?
I'd rather not.
All right.
They were gimmicky in some of the ways they were doing things, showing up on stage with costumes on and stuff, and I was like, that's not what I want to do. And I never based my act off watching somebody else's act.
Cedric the Entertainer used to have that big clock around his neck when he got started. Huge clock.
Like Flavor Flav.
Yeah. I guess that's exactly what he was doing. Yeah. That's exactly what
Ced's a good guy.
Now let me ask you this. When you were starting comedy back then, your father, Tim Richardson, was a well-known newscaster in Kansas City. Did you use that as the crutch, or did you not? Because back then there was 3 channels, so everybody knew your dad.
I will say that,
and there weren't that many black people on TV, so everybody knew his dad.
My desire to want to be in front of the camera, to want to talk in front of people, it does have roots. So I mean, it came from him. I never thought comedy was going to be it. I think when I was in school, high school I'm talking about, I think I wanted to be on radio. I was wanted to be on radio because I spent a lot of time over at Carter Broadcasting growing up, with him and his cohorts over there. I thought I wanted to be radio, then I was like, well, TV wouldn't be so bad. But the weird thing kind of happened. Me and my dad kind of didn't see eye to eye after my parents were divorced. So I kind of wanted to separate myself from his shadow just a little bit, even though I still loved the shadow, but it was a huge shadow.
You're not using but you didn't use your last name as your stage name.
Huge shadow. I'd go somewhere and perform it, but that's Tim Richardson's son. I'm like, yes, I'm Tim Richardson.
So you did the what is it, Charlie Sheen route, or Emilio Estevez, or whatever.
Exactly.
Because his dad was Martin Sheen, but he went the
son.
Other way.
Exactly.
All right. So
even changed his name, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But not. it turned out okay.
What channels was your dad on here in town?
When he first came here, because we before I started school, he was on. He did network news out of Washington D.C. We lived in Columbia, Maryland, right outside of D.C. He came back here in mid '70s and he started Channel 9. Was the first one he came back to here.
Oh, back with Lynn Dawson and Larry Moore and all
Dawson,
those guys.
Brenda Williams. He had a show on there called Dimensions in Black.
I remember that.
That came on Sundays, and then he left from 9, I believe, and went to 5, and he was there for a little while. That's where he became. So the whole action reporter thing was something from Channel 9. The action reporter on the scene and in the street, covering this, that, and the third. So then, by the time he got to Channel 5, it became Call for Action, which Stan Kramer ended up doing.
I do remember that. I do remember
And then,
that.
he left 5 and went to 4, and his show that came on at 4 was called Connections. It came on Sunday
Oh my
mornings.
God, you're taking me back.
So
I'm old enough to remember. I remember. But tell me about this. What was the first time your dad saw you do well? When was the first time your dad kind of gave you the tip of the hat and said you made the right choice?
As far as doing stand-up?
Yeah.
So he came, I was at Stanford's with John Witherspoon. And shout out to John Witherspoon.
Yes.
Classy, very classy guy. I know the persona you see on stage is one thing, but off that stage, he had nothing but wisdom, nothing but,
Don't nobody go into heaven for 4 or 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
My dad saw me do John Witherspoon. My dad saw me perform with just the family, every family gathering, every this. And he's like, you got something. You got something. But that after he saw me, and he saw me again, he was like, you can do this. If this is what you want to do, you can do it, and I support it. So if I felt a certain kind of way.
That's the same moment I had that. And what did you have? We're going to show another clip of Be Rich. We'll be right back in the last show.
My mother is serious. She's like, you couldn't have made it into Sumner. I'm like, you wouldn't have made it to Sumner Academy. So you got to have this argument all the time, I went to school at Sumner Academy. Douglas is right around the corner. I didn't even know that Douglas's mascot was the dolphin. To today, the Douglas Dolphin, that's my favorite animal. I didn't go to Douglas. I went to JFK, John F. Kennedy Cougars, left there, went to White Church, Wildcats, left there, went to Eisenhower Middle School. My class was the first group of 6th graders to come to middle school, so it was traumatic for me. I was about 5'0".
Well, welcome back, Be Rich. So that's kind of what your dad saw, which is really kind of neat. I had that kind of moment with my dad, actually, when he finally knew I was going to be a comedian, too, because
Right.
it's it's tough when you have professional black parents from that generation when you want to do something that isn't typical. You know what I mean? You know how that is.
They got to see the check stub first.
Yeah, got it.
Which is probably why I've always maintained a job.
Yeah.
I've always had a job outside of comedy. So
May I ask what job that is?
currently I work for the fire department.
You're a fireman.
I am.
You're a fireman.
I am. I'm actually a fire inspector, captain. But
Oh my gosh.
Yes. But
So if I had a heart attack right now, you'd know how to save my life.
oh yeah.
Would you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm on those compressions, but I'm good. I'm still gonna pick up the phone and call my boys, but
Now,
yeah.
the funny thing about it is that I used to joke about this. Don't they make you run up stairs with a huge hose as in training?
You're talking about physical agility test.
Yeah. Now, what is it they make you do?
You have to carry a hose pack.
You got to carry a long hose up how far?
It's 5 flights.
They got to make it, or if you're black, they just make you run up naked.
Well, that ain't for everybody.
That was my joke.
Yeah, got a little warm here all of a sudden. Might have had a flashback.
Oh my gosh! So, is there any time when you're in your job as a fireman and you say, "This is so funny, I could put this on stage"? Is there any occasions where that ever happened?
Probably daily. Because-
Daily?
Daily.
Give me an example.
So, if you see my act.
Yes.
So I'm always trying to find a way to correlate the crowd or bring the crowd into what I'm doing, this, that, and the third. It's so funny because some of the same things I talk about in my act, I'll go into a patient's home or, and I'll see those same things. I'm like, I think we got the same mom or we got the same dad because my mom has that same stuff on the wall or this, that, and the third. And it's always, every day. Because comics by nature, we're people watchers.
So you mean you go into the house and you see the
wooden fork and the wooden spoon?
The chicken grease.
Chicken
and
grease
the bacon
can?
grease.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The stack, well, not anymore, but you used to have the stacked televisions.
Yeah.
The one on the bottom had the sound, the one on top had the picture. Yes. You know, that kind of stuff. Yeah. The dog that don't eat regular dog food.
No.
Yeah. Like your dog got high blood pressure, man. Just like you. That sort of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, man. So, but have you had to run into a burning building and ever try to save somebody?
Absolutely. And I have done it. But that's a totally different. Here's the thing.
Let's hear
Running
it.
into a burning building, you would think would be much more terrifying
Yes, it is.
than stand up. But for me, and maybe I'm wired wrong, it was a lot easier for me to run in that building than it was to stand in front of 200 people alone.
Well, actually, this was because in your life, this was actually happening in real time.
It was.
You'd run into a burning building on Tuesday and be on stage on Thursday.
Still hot either way. Yes. Yes. The same premise, but it brought balance. Because so many times, on working that job, every day is not a good day. So and not only.
Well, I mean, every time you get a call, people are at their worst.
they need help.
I mean, they're at their most distressed,
They need
right?
help. So it brought balance to my life. I didn't. So whereas I had negative stuff over here, I can come over here.
That's right. Where every time
Yeah.
every time you're on the stage, everybody's happy. Every time you went there, people are stressed. Now, was Eddie Griffin in KC when you were here?
Eddie Griffin had already left Kansas City, but his footprint was definitely here. And
Who were the other comics who were here when you started out at Stanford's?
So
Michael Franklin,
I remember Franco.
James Johan,
James Johan might have
Inman?
came right behind me. Who'd you say?
James Inman,
I know James
Chris
Inman.
Porter,
Chris Porter came behind me also. I remember Porter, Steve Kramer,
Steve Kramer. We've had him on a couple times.
yourself,
yeah.
David
I'd
Nastor.
been around a while. Yeah, Nastor
David
was
Nastor was like a crowd favorite.
he was the original OG. Now, Stanford and Sons, the comedy club, it had 3 locations, and I always find out when people start by which location, because there was the original Treehouse, which is where the old people like me got started.
Okay.
Where was Stanford? Was it across the street when you got started?
Stanford's, when I first started, was in the location where World Market is right
Yeah,
now.
that's okay. That's where they had the
just
doors
up
and
from-
everything
it
like
used to be
that.
Lynn Dickey's was on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
corner.
yeah, yeah.
They were up the street. Yeah. Lynn Dickey's. Paul
do
Shrike
remember-
was another one.
Yeah.
When
Paul
first,
Shrike.
I used to
He's
love
still
Paul
around.
Shrike.
Paul is still
Yes.
around doing stuff there.
That was my guy.
The funny thing about all those people we talked about, they're still doing comedy, because once it's ingrained in you, I think you're a comedian the rest of your life.
Keith Burgess. Brian
Brian
Burgess.
Burgess, yeah.
Keith Rainey, that's his name.
Keith Rainey, another guy who I saw. Let me ask you this. So how did you get on BET? Because we did BET Comedy View, I think, the same year. How did you get on?
I actually did it twice. I did it in 2000.
Oh, you did it twice.
2000, 2001.
Who was host when you did it?
Ricky Smiley.
Okay, I'm J. Anthony Brown when I did it. Actually.
Yeah, Ricky Smiley. Ronaldo Ray was part of the cast.
Who
at the
actually
time.
has some history in Kansas City, I think.
Born and raised.
Yeah, that's what I
in
thought.
Kansas City,
Yeah.
Kansas. He graduated from Sumner High School. His brother was a firefighter.
Really?
Yeah. Long, crazy how those circles intertwine. Funny story about that is when I was down there actually taping for Comedy View in Atlanta. So from the way they tape, they put you in that room and you're there all day, and then they tell you can't leave, you can't do this, because you never know if they have to slot you up. Somebody doesn't show, somebody's not ready, they just slot you up. So they tape like 5 or 6 episodes a day. My episode happened to be the last episode, and I was the last comic on the last episode.
Now, keep in mind that crowd has been there the entire time.
Oh yeah.
So that's not good
Yeah.
for comic, because you want to get them when they're fresh. For
They move them
show one,
around
show
and let them
two.
change
Yeah.
clothes, because the models have been there all day also.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all bad. Models was next door. That's a long story. But Ronaldo comes out and he's going down a list and he sticks his head in the room and said, "Which one of y'all is from Kansas City?" So nobody said anything. And I said, "That would be me. Let me talk to you." So I went out. We go out in the hallway. Now I'm scared to death because they've already said, "Stay in the room. Don't leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
If we call you not ready, you're axed." They ain't gonna do nothing today. He didn't really say nothing. He said they ain't gonna do shit till I'm ready. I was like, okay. So we leave, and he takes me back around where his dressing area is, and he said, "Tell me a little about yourself." Come to find out, my family knows his family. He knew my dad. He knew my whatever. He gave me a couple of pointers. He was like, "Just be yourself. Be calm. You're gonna be fine."
That's all you needed.
That's all I needed. That's all I needed. And that was
And when he introduced you, he did it from the heart, right? Because you had a little.
Ricky actually introduced me, but it was that after the show conversation between Ricky, myself, Laura Hayes, Miss Laura was there. It was all love, and I could feel it. I felt great after I got done with that. Quick turnaround too. Got in there, tape. We taped on a Thursday. I was back on Friday morning.
Fighting fires the next day.
Actually, at that time, I hadn't joined the fire department yet. So I've only been at the fire department 20 years. At that time, I was still working for the phone company. I was at AT&T.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Oh my god! So which fire department you work in? Kansas City, Missouri?
Kansas City, Kansas.
All right.
Yes.
My gosh! So let me ask you this: if there's a fire on state line, I'm serious. Like right around the
Jazz.
the Jazz,
Yeah.
Louisiana Kitchen, 39th, right around there. Who do they call? I mean, is it a proximity or is it a state line
No.
thing?
The funny thing is that, so Missouri and Kansas have different fire hydrant setups, so different connections. Now, the Kansas departments that are located close to the state line, we have the connects that'll go into a Missouri hydrant. So if it's on the Missouri side and we see it first. We're not going to call and say, "Hey man, your building's on fire." You do what you have to do, and then you let them come in and take over or whatever. But usually,
I always wondered. I see these iconic scenes where the hydrant is in the water splashing. Is that something the fire department does because it's hot out, or is that something the neighborhood does? And you say, "Hey guys, we're putting that cap back on."
you talk about in the hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is not department policy to run around undoing hydrants and everything. No, we don't do that.
Do you have to put them back on after?
Yeah, sometimes you gotta come turn them off. But
So you get booed. So you get booed in that job too.
But here's the thing.
You put the fire hydrant back on.
I'm from that hood, so I might let them play 5 more minutes. But, I've never had to do that, which is why. But I've seen it. So, but I've never had to, since I've been on this job, I've never had to go and close the hydrant down because some kids were playing in it. Now,
Well, do you have any particularly funny fireman stories that where the outcome was good, but the situation was funny?
oh, I mean, okay, so we have what we call ETOH.
What's that stand for?
You're drunk. That's the best. That's the best. Your blood alcohol level is a little too high. That's the best.
Oh, you're talking about the people or the people or firemen?
No. Definitely the patients, not the firemen. No.
Firemen are crazy, just so you know that, right? I mean, my brother's a fireman, and those guys, and it doesn't surprise me because every fireman has another what we call side hustle. Every fireman,
second job.
Second job. They own. That's how Firehouse Subs got started. They got bars, they got
But you got
deck
time.
companies, they got all that stuff.
When you have all that downtime, you work one day, you're off 2. Depending on where you live in the country, it's different schedules all over the place. But if you only work 2 days a week, you have a lot of downtime. And then that downtime is like, you cook at the fire station. Like if they like to cook, and I can sell it on my days off. And then you end up with a restaurant, food truck. A lot of them have landscaping, concrete.
Do they still have the fire poles at the stations where you slide?
The poles?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the young boys. I'm at that age where I'm gonna walk down them steps. I don't.
Because I see this. So do you actually sleep on the fire and then alarm goes off, or how does this work?
We sleep at the house. It's like home away from home. It has a kitchen. Actually, some fire stations are probably better than some people's homes. You have a full gym in there, kitchen, home theater, whatever you need. It's.
But do you ever get a chance? I mean, there are calls all the time. Do you ever get a chance to sit down and have a good meal, and then the alarm goes off?
Yeah, that happens a lot. I mean,
and do you ever really sleep well? Because
no,
I don't know. Most calls are late at night, right?
No, I sleep better now. I'm actually not in a firehouse every day. I mean, or even every third day. I'm Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So I sleep in my bed every night. I probably slept best in the last 4 years. I've slept in the last 20, simply because
I watch a lot of cooking TV shows, and I watch these firemen are like
They can cook.
gourmets.
They can cook.
They're like Anthony Bourdain up in there
They can
making
cook.
their own dishes. They give you a lot of latitude of what you make.
But
right?
look at how often you get to practice that. You know what I'm saying? You get to cook for 7 guys, 10 guys, 12 guys.
Does everybody take a turn?
You can take a turn, but everybody can't cook.
Have you cooked?
I have cooked.
What'd you make?
I made taco soup.
Taco what?
Taco soup.
Did you say soup?
Taco soup. Yes.
Okay, man. I don't.
It is hood
You know,
chili.
this is a Hispanic station. Maybe we should just.
It's hood chili. That's what it is.
Hood chili. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
It's taco seasoning ground beef,
Taco soup.
southwestern corn, pinto beans, kidney beans,
Taco soup.
taco soup, ranch dressing. It's the dry
I
stuff.
think you just lost the.
No,
other
that
thing.
sounds
You said
crazy, but
ranch
it's the dry stuff. It's trust me. Trust me, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good.
So that was.
If it involves hamburger meat, I can make it because I don't like to touch raw meat. So
Would you try it, Joseph? You should.
yeah, maybe. That's bad.
Oh my god.
But I don't cook. See,
You know,
So
you
there
know,
you
you
go.
know.
Yeah, no.
Oh my god. So yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of threw you off course there. So what was one funny thing that happened?
You're good.
Outcome was good. Situation was funny.
Okay, so again, the ETOH, we go there, we get the call, and they say there's a down individual. We're like, what do you mean down? And it's cold out, snowing. Snow is pretty deep. So when we pull up, we can see him. You know, he looks like he's laying face down in the snow. So I'm like, how long has he been there? Or who saw him? You know, how long has he been there? We've been here about 15 minutes. 15 minutes. He's been laying down for 15 minutes. Did you check on him? No. We go to check on him. He's not moving. I'm like, oh man, I think this dude might be expired. You know, he's been laying pretty much face down for 15 minutes in the snow. So we get all the stuff out. We have what we call a
Paddles.
monitor. And you put the monitor on. Before we can even do any of that, we're sitting there watching, and somebody said, "Hey man, I think he's breathing." I was like, I don't know about that. Like, why you say that? They were like, I thought I saw him move. So now, if you've been standing outside next to somebody for 15 minutes and they don't move, and they move instead, and it's the non-firefighter side of me. Well, I moved because they thought he moved. I'm like, you know, I thought he was gone.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean he's moving? So everybody took a step back, and we go up there, and instead of because the people that called us in, they never touched him. They never touched him, never tried to wake him up. They just hollered from a distance. Well, of course he's drunk.
Yeah.
So you know he's out of it. Finally, somebody touches him. He doesn't move. I'm like, I don't know, man, but he didn't feel stiff. They touched him again. He didn't move. All it took was for the person that walked around the top part of his head to kick his bag, and in his bag he had his bottle, and he heard that clank of that bottle. Mm-hmm. He sat straight up. He sat straight up. Was like, what? And we like, man, we thought you were gone. Nah, I ain't gone. I'm over here asleep. And I was like, what? I heard everything y'all said. So he's literally laying there being still and not bothering anybody. And come to find out, you know, he could have been homeless, maybe not. But burying yourself or having that snow was probably about 18 inches high. Having that around you knocks the wind off. You know, it's like if a dog sleeps outside, they'll get deep enough in there to where whatever he has on combined with his body weight or body heat will keep him from freezing. So again, we thought the call came out that he was expired. The people said he'd been out there for 15 minutes, but there's no way. Even if you fall out non-breather, 15 minutes, yeah, we're probably too late. And he said straight up. As soon as we kicked that bottle, he heard the bottle that
Clang, clang, clang. That's what
in
you
his
need.
mind, he probably like somebody trying to rob me. And like,
That's it. Nobody's taking his stuff.
that's his alarm clock, you know.
Oh my God.
McCormick is what it was.
Oh my
Vodka.
God. So tell me what you got going on in stand-up comedy. You're still in it? Or you're trying to get in the production in?
I stay busy. I always tell people whenever somebody asks me when's your next show? I said, my next show is when my next call comes in. So if somebody calls, needs, I do a lot of private events here locally. Just did one over the weekend. Actually had two. I have another show coming up at
You booked me. You were nice enough to
did.
book me in a couple gigs.
Man,
you take care of me,
but
man.
you know why? And it's as simple as
Why?
this. I tell my wife this story all the time. Anybody that asks me about comedy, how'd you get into comedy? I always had to tell them about my first paying road gig. My first paying road gig came from you.
Really?
Yes, we went to Junction City, Kansas.
Oh my God, I do remember
Yeah,
that. I
Junction
do
City,
remember
Kansas.
that.
So somebody, and that came on the strength of you seeing me at Stanford's.
Yes.
If somebody
Yeah.
sees you and says, "Hey, can you come down here?" I was like, "Yeah," and that's where it started.
There you go. You know, I like to think I helped a lot of people there, but that's very nice to know. But you're always funny, so if it wasn't me, it would have been somebody else.
And but being a comic, especially as long as we have, we understand that it's great to be in front of the camera. It's great to be the name that started whatever it is you're seeking. You can find it if you work hard enough. But I also recognize for lack of a better term, the money's made on the other side. The person can pay you a lot of money, then how much are they making? Just like
There you
sports, people don't like athletes
Yeah.
checks, but I'm like, how much is the owner?
How much Jerry Jones made?
Yeah, exactly.
Forget about how much Dak makes.
So yes, I do dabble in promotions as well, and I have some stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes, and I'll talk about it more as it.
Well, I tell you what, when you have something else to promote, will you come back on and promote it?
Absolutely. Not only promote it, but I'd like to bring my.
Please do
Bring it so
Bring
that
everybody
everybody
here.
can see
We
it,
need
yeah.
content. Well,
sure.
Be Rich, thank you so much for being on the last show.
Appreciate you, man.
We'll see you next time on the last show.